Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to talk about what representing is, what we can use to do it, and I'll give a few examples of it in multiple different ways. Alright, so what is representing? Simply put, it's showing how a number can be made. That's the very simple explanation of it, however it is not a simple task for our students to do. What you can use to do it? Well, I have a list here of some things you can do. We can use 10 frames, tally marks, number lines, expressions, money, pictures, base 10 blocks, and anything really that you can use to show a number. All right, so I'm going to give a couple examples of how to represent numbers in multiple ways. So I'll do a 2-digit number for this one and then a 3-digit number later on. All right, so if we have 73 and I want to represent this number multiple ways, I could use 10 tally marks, I could use 10 frames, but for this I'm going to use base 10 blocks. Just because I'm using it does not mean they're the best one to use. It's just another way to do it. All right, so if I want 73, I'll have my 7 tens and my 3 ones. That's one way to represent it. What we want our students to do is represent it multiple ways though. So if I'm still using base 10 blocks, I'm going to represent it differently. I'm going to take one of these 10s and change it into 10 ones. So I would have 60 in my 10s, so 6 10s, which makes 60. Then I would have my 10 that I traded in for 10 ones. And then my 3 more. So these two representations represent 73, but they are represented differently. I'm going to show you now what a lot of students will do, but it's not a different representation. So here's our first one that we did, and then our students will make another one. They'll say, oh, I'll start with my 3 here, and then put my 70. That is not a different representation, it's just turned around. To really represent it differently, you have to change something in it, like I did previously. If I wanted to represent the number 73 with expressions can be very difficult. I can use addition expressions and subtraction expressions. So a lot of students will do this one at first. And at first I'll say that's acceptable. After a few days, I'm going to say it's too easy. Give me something more challenging. So then maybe they'll give me some like this, 70 plus 3, or some will even give 35 plus 35 plus 3. Some students will partition the 70 and then tack on the 3 at the end. So they might say, well, 40 plus 30 makes, so I'm going to rewrite that. 40 plus 30 makes 70. And now I have my 3, so they'll actually erase one of the zeros and put a 3 on. That's fine. The more practice with this, the better. Also, we can do subtraction expressions. This one can be very tricky because we have to make this number, 73. We're not starting with 73 and subtracting to make another number. Kids, we have to make 73. So I'm going to start with a larger number and subtract down to 73. Again, a lot will do 74, subtract 1, and as usual, I would say eventually that's too easy, give me something more complicated. Then they might do something like 83, subtract 10, which is fine, and once they do this a lot, they'll eventually get more and more complicated as the time goes on. What we also see is when we say represent multiple ways, if we have the number 132, some people will do this. 132. So this is the 100 flat, 3 10s and 2 1s. Then they'll use a different tool, like an expression, and write down 100 plus 30 plus 2. Which is a good representation. It's a different tool. However, what I like to see is for each representation to be different. So even as different as if it was 131 plus 1. Then it is different than this one, and they used a different tool. That's just a little higher level thinking, and eventually we want our students to get there. Not right away, but eventually. I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in email or in the comments. I might not be able to respond directly to your comment until I figure out how, but for now, email would be best. Anyways, have a great day and good luck.